Hello and welcome to Understanding Narcissists. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I want to talk about a little known subject in this sort of area. And what I mean by that is it doesn't come up often in discussions of abuse in the way that I'm going to talk about it. And I probably haven't talked about it up until now because it may be sort of a boring subject. But it occurs to me how important it is and how constructive it has been to my life and others. It's sort of a thing I slip into my content without ever talking about it directly, and it is energy management and control. This is something we all have to do anyway, and something we learn as we come into adulthood. At least that's when I learned it. And it can be applied so effectively to narcissists and how they make you feel and what they do to you. Because, at least looking at it from one point of view, all they do is take your energy. All they do is occupy your time. All they do is drain you of anything you have, any motivation, any drive, any eagerness or yearning to accomplish something. And I don't know what's going on exactly. I don't know how they do it in every possible way. I just know that they do it. And they always do it, and it's always going on. Therefore, there's always a handicap imposed on you that you feel and maybe won't notice for a very long time. This is just a component of emotional abuse. And we have limited energy as it is. We may not be using it terribly efficiently already. And so the narcissist is going to take whatever's left and then some, almost leaving you in sort of an energy debt, so that you are vulnerable all the time without any overt effort on their part. They're always doing this. When they want to engage with you, you're already feeling weak and drained. They can kind of accelerate it. And as I say, it's much harder, at least for me, to figure out how exactly they do this so effectively, but it is easier than you'd think, probably, to take back control of it and maintain your energy and not be so drained, tired, hazy, and weak all of the time. This emotional fatigue is always going to be with you while you're still in the abusive cloud. So, not just the abusive cycle, like actually being around the narcissist, but also after you're away. Of course, you feel the fatigue the most when you're with the narcissist and they're actively influencing you. And then that scary thing will kind of hit you later on, where even when you're away from the narcissist and you're no longer exposed or vulnerable to them all of the time, you will still feel it gradually building up, because it is an internal thing. It has less to do with the stuff going on around you that you're focused on and thinking about, and more how you're processing it. Now, I'm not saying I can free you of emotional fatigue forever. I think there's a natural sort of potential for it, that, and maybe it can be a good thing too, or it is a good thing, that the narcissist has exploited and multiplied, and they've just built up on it. So whatever already stresses you out and kind of compounds within you, that is used by them as a point of leverage. And though I probably don't have to say this, I don't want to imply that it's a single event. This is something that's going on all of the time, right? It's continuous. It's not just a few events and they set you off. This is pressure on you all of the time that it would appear, for the most part, they are not exploiting or creating, I should say, or both. And so it's a little bit hands-off, right? It's not always direct, as is the case with narcissists most of the time. So this energy management question, if they are draining your energy, taking your attention away, your concentration, your time, your commitments, right? So you can sink it all into them, and they can take it up and engage with you in order to find weaknesses, continue to wear you down, and then eventually get through your defenses and hurt you and control you and get a reaction out of you. So the first step naturally is the engagement part. How do you lessen that? Or is there a way to make it so they can't take your energy? I have to say I've not found a mindset that you can adopt while engaging with a narcissist that makes you immune to what they are doing to you. That is, they proceed according to how you act. That's what I'm going to say. They are dependent on you. It'll seem like they're leading you around, or they're leading the group or whatever, or leading the interaction. And they'll probably have started it some way, maybe directly, maybe not, maybe aggressing or trying to get you to aggress towards them in defense. But that doesn't mean that you have to, right? If you don't engage with a narcissist, there's going to be a problem. They need you to respond. They need you to react because that's how they control you. And that's how they transfer the bad feelings. So completely ignoring them and not engaging with them is not something you can do while you have to interact with them. So this is the hardest part, by the way. This is why I'm hitting this first. It comes first naturally anyway. But this is different from when you're away and you're feeling these things, but there's nobody causing them. The narcissist isn't there. But when the narcissist is there, and you have to engage with them, the only thing you can really do, and I hope I can communicate this clearly, is lead. So it's a bit how I described strength in earlier videos when I talk about how to be strong and what strength is. And this is simplified because whatever personal strength is supposed to mean, you only have to have a certain part of it when dealing with narcissists. And that part is going to be, you have to assert yourself and you have to lead and you have to kind of force a square peg into a round hole. Them being the square peg. You have to make them accommodate you in some way where they have to shift and morph so they aren't dragging you around. I'm trying to describe how I visualize this, and that the more you go on that run with them, with every single interaction when you're talking with them, and they keep mentioning this thing, something they need you to do, something that you need to conform it to your own structure. Because what they're doing is stretching you out and sort of making you this malleable putty type thing that they can just sort of play around with, when that's not what you are. When you're a person, you have limitations and you're solid and you have sort of obligations concerning your time. it's a bit of a give and take. I guess what I'm trying to say is you have to be sort of the ocean in this sense and be in control of everything. You see what I'm saying? All pervasive and present all the time. Not that you have to control everything, not that you have to impose yourself. You just have to stand your ground in a way that's preemptive, right? That doesn't mean being really hard on them or resisting them when they come after you. It means sort of expanding your own, I guess I'll say, dominance and control that's legitimate, that's not dysfunctional like theirs, over yourself and your environment, and standing up for those things instead of just throwing away your commitments, your interests, whatever else you're doing. Something narcissists absolutely hate is schedules. They love their own schedule. They love, if you'll notice, to kind of push their schedule in your face about what they can do and what they can't because they're so important. They're always doing these things and they just don't have time for that, and they're always on the move. There's always a false sense of importance and motion to what a narcissist does. Like everything's lined up really well, they're on it, and they're just rolling along, and they got to tear through all these things that they're doing. When you have something like that, and it's something they can't challenge, like work, for instance, and especially if your work is a big deal to them, or they're intimidated by it, then they have a serious problem. They have to get rid of that thing, but they can't really overcome it. Because there's no legitimate way to pierce that argument. It's impenetrable. It's something that they do to you all the time, and it's something that is ultimately good for the whole situation. It's bad for them, but it's something that they simply can't denounce. So let me rein in the focus here. Your energy gets sapped because you forfeit territory, your space, your time to them. That's what's going on, and it gets seeped out in a way, little streams, little trickles. You have to go through and reclaim all of that in a passive way. Of course, you never say anything to them regarding what I'm telling you now. You don't tell them any of this stuff that I'm talking about. You just do it, right? You have to take a leadership position. The reason I'm trying to be so careful with my description of this, however vague it can be, is because if you sit and think about it, it sounds impossible. You can't impose yourself on the narcissist. You're so restricted in what you can do. Living with one or being around one all the time, and when you're in really deep with them especially, because anything will set them off. Everything is under tight regulation and control by them. But there's wiggle room, and it's not just wiggle room, it's loopholes. It's loopholes in their psychology. So we're not saying they're a narcissist and they're bad and you're not going to take it. We're not doing anything that would set off, give them a reason to react explosively, okay? We're working within that framework, and we're exploiting certain loopholes about it. So you're still working within that realm, and you're trying to patch up the holes of where they're draining your energy and your focus and your concentration, whatever it is you need to get through the day and get stuff done. This works best when you're in the process of getting away from them. This is not a long-term solution. It's something you have to learn how to do anyway. And maybe I'll talk about this later, but it's also something you have to deal with in the residual sort of after effect of the whole thing. When you're away, you'll still find yourself wasting energy and getting anxious over things that you don't need to because of them, even after they're gone out of your life. So lead the interaction, lead the conversation. It doesn't mean that you start it. It means that you're in control of it. That they may be working on you in some way, but you're not following them around waiting for the next thing for them to throw at you, right? So you don't run away either, because that's following them basically, because then that's inviting them to come after you. You talk to them almost in a confrontational way, but not. It's assertive as a parent, right? That's when they fold. You are the one in charge, you are the one in control, and you have a schedule, and you have commitments, and you can't necessarily be caught up in all of this stuff and wasting your time. Don't say that directly, but your time is important. Your time is very valuable, and that's true. However, inflate the value of your time if you need to. Maybe not lie outright, but definitely give that air that your time is not to be wasted. And that's not a bad thing anyway, because it's true. You don't want people wasting your time. And even if you spend a lot of your time sitting around like I do, it's still valuable to you, and that's your choice to make it that way. So communicate the value of your time. Give them limited time. Don't be so willing to commit to them so much in that interaction when you sit there and wait and hang off every word that they say, waiting for the next word. That shows that your time's not very valuable and you're going to sit and wait for them. You have to kind of... That's one way you can control narcissists in an effective way. I'm not saying this is a long-term solution, but you become the parent. And they still get the things they want. It's not going to work forever. But this will help you and maybe save you right now. Remember, though, that it works best in a shorter-term sort of timeline where you're in the process of getting away from them and you're figuring all these things out. I get that you don't want to come up with a plan yet or cut it off with them outright, but this helps that process along tremendously anyway, and you'll find yourself with a lot more energy and a lot more motivation to get away from them as you implement this stuff. And the thing is, you'll get better at it, and it compounds. Then it's kind of reversed where you get stronger and stronger instead of weaker and weaker the longer you are with them. As you learn to do this, you get stronger and stronger, and you can build up that momentum to where you get to another stage where you don't have someone on your back all the time making you feel tired and drained and exhausted, and that leads to the hopelessness. Then this really helps reverse that process, and I just wanted to touch upon it in a little more detail in this video. So I hope I did that. I hope I was successful in helping you with this energy management problem. I hope I wasn't too vague, because it seemed awfully vague to me, but I couldn't think of a more concrete way to describe it. I hope you like this video. Like it if you do. Share it with somebody you think might also like it and benefit from it. Comment in the comment section below about your experience on this matter, which I think is vast, because it doesn't have to be narcissist. It really just has to be emotional abuse, and it's something you have to overcome. It's really weird because it's kind of an invisible problem. We think about time management all the time, but it's really our energy we have to manage. It's really our focus, and not getting too concerned or obsessed even with these things that don't matter. And narcissists are so good at wasting your time and drawing you in. And I want to know how you have overcome that, and if what you're willing to share with others on a public forum, of course, and just how important this is, and anything else that I've forgotten, which I'm sure is plenty, because it was just a harder topic for me to describe than I thought it would be. And yeah, tell me what you think, and what specifics you've implemented that have helped you in this area. I would love to hear it. I know everybody else would love to hear it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching and supporting me in this channel and this whole idea, I guess, this cause. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye.